Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hi everyone.
Hello everyone.
My name is David Bell.
Oh, my name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched 1977's The Hobbit.
Thobbit.
Yeah, the best Hobbit?
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. Many ages ago, when this ancient planet was not quite so ancient, long before man recorded his history, there was the time of Middle-earth, when man shared his days with elves, dwarves, wizards, goblins, dragons, and hobbits.
This is, first of all, it's Thursday, so big shout out to Andrew McGuire. He's our Patreon producer who made this all happen. Thank you, Andrew McGuire, for telling us to watch the animated Hobbit, and then we did it. A film that I don't think I've seen before.
Oh, I
but
definitely
Tom,
have. Yeah.
When I went on Amazon, it said watch again. So I guess I must have seen it.
I remember this now. Okay, we watched like half of it.
That checks out.
Not at Cracked House, but at the second house.
Okay.
With like Evans was there, I think. It was like a big group of people, and then we fucked off halfway through and did something else because the movie's boring as shit. Yeah,
this movie is about 6 hours long, so the Peter Jackson one was true to that.
It's 17 parts. Yeah. It's consistent with the Peter Jackson version in the way that it makes the stuff that shouldn't take long take forever.
Yeah. It is a time vortex. Like, I felt like I was in a black hole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're
not a nasty, dirty, wet hole or a sandy
below
hole.
the event horizon or something. No, it's a comfortable hole. It's a hobbit hole. That means comfort.
It's a hobbit hole. My fucking God. So what I tried to do, and I think I watched this as like a teenager. I had like a nerdy friend who liked it. I think people like it when they grow up on it, is my guess. There's like, if you have a nostalgia for it. Did you watch this as a kid?
If I did, I was a really young kid. I think I might have seen this and Bakshi's first Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Because, and I believe this is correct. I believe he ran out of money making the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So that's why the Warner Brothers animated version, which is made by Ralph Bakshi, only covers through the Two Towers. And then we got the Return of the King a couple of years later, and I think it's because he ran out of money. And watching this movie, boy, it really feels like they were struggling to find money. It's
a lot of like, we're gonna take the still image and like pan in on it.
It's that there's very, very little sound effects.
Oh yeah.
There's a couple of people where you're like, well, that was clearly the only take of that line you did.
This is This doesn't strike me as a good movie.
It's not. I think this movie has a big nostalgia hold on people.
Yeah, but I think even the people with nostalgia for it would agree that it's not good. What's I found interesting about this movie is when I tried to divorce myself from everything I knew about Lord of the Rings and just watched it. And it's a terrible story. Like, it doesn't make the book. I've never read the book. I've never read any of the Tolkien stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I should just say that. If I was just going by this story, I'd be like, why does anybody like this? It's really like it yada yadas over like the battle.
Yeah,
the parts that seem like they'd be interesting.
It skips over the stuff you want to see because they didn't I'm sure it's because they didn't have the money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then really lingers on dumb shit like the fucking dwarves having polite conversations with each other.
Yeah, a lot of that. So this was pointed out on IMDb trivia, but it's definitely true, is that the only women are spiders. Like there's no you even notice that even when they go to the town, the human town, it's all men.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. The only women characters are spiders, which is like, all right.
I want to amend something I said. This version actually doesn't have anything to do with Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
This was made by Rankin Bass as a TV special.
Okay.
Did you notice the commercial breaks?
Yeah, I did notice the commercial breaks, yeah.
Which explains why the budget is so low, why there's no violence, et cetera, et cetera. It was made for NBC in the 70s.
Right. It's quite something. I guess let's go through the story. Because I do want to, again, going back to thinking about this as being divorced from everything else as its own story. What does it really tell us? It's a story about Bilbo Baggins who's kidnapped by a wizard.
He gets press ganged. Watching this movie made it really clear, but this is pretty consistent for Gandalf.
Oh yeah, Gandalf's terrible. He goes into the Hobbit place and he's like, "I'm going to take some of your hobbits to go on a mission that might result in their death." When he catches Sam eavesdropping, he's like, "Your punishment is certain death."
You're going on the mission with Bilbo now. Like he shows up unannounced. He's the messiest bitch in Middle Earth. He shows up. He brings tons of drama into Bag End. And then he just stands back and watches what happens. That's what he does in The Hobbit and in The Lord of the Rings. It's all he does.
Stoned the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
He's so powerful that no one can do anything about it. And he talks to hobbits like they're children, even when they're grown fucking adults.
Because they are children. He's like 1,000,000 years old. Like the scene where Thorin's like, I've been trying to get back into my home for 100 years or however long it's been since Smaug took the Lonely Mountain. And then Gandalf's just like, oh, well, then perhaps you should have these. And he pulls a map and a key out of his cloak.
And he's like, where did you get that?
Gandalf, you've been sitting on that for how long? And it's like, I think it's just he's so old that he legit forgot about it. Like, that man experiences time in a different way than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Like, when Gandalf zones out, he misses generations.
Oh, absolutely. They talk about how he kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does he even need these fuckers for?
I don't know.
This by the way is a heist film.
Yes.
Because they show up at Bilbo's house and he's just like, I'm going to kidnap you to go steal from a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And Bilbo doesn't want to do it. He faints at the thought of it.
Yes.
Like, he is horrified. He doesn't want... He's physically terrified by this.
He's a guy who likes just living at home, doing shit in his... It would be like if 13 dwarves and a wizard rolled up on you or me at home and were like, you're coming with us to the Lonely Mountain. I'm like, no.
Yeah, this isn't like your friends like come out to the bar, you just need a little push.
No.
It's like, no. Like in the end he comes back with gold and he's like, I don't really need this. And it's like, oh yeah, none of this.
He's already got the house and shit. So it's like,
yeah,
he doesn't really need to be more wealthy. Like he has everything he needs.
They say something like there are 13 of us. Very unlucky number. Mr. Baggins would make it 14. And that's their reasoning. That and of course they need a thief to go steal a cup. That's all he does. He goes and steals a cup.
Mm-hmm.
Was that it? Was that because then the dragon fucks off. But I didn't understand what the plan was at all. I guess I'm skipping around here.
Yeah, I mean the basic story is Thorin and his dwarves got booted out of the Lonely Mountain by Smaug. Because they basically built a kingdom inside of a mountain and just filled it with dragon catnip.
Yes.
So he showed up. He's like, "This is mine now." Thorin wants it back, so they're going on a mission to kill Smaug and reclaim his homeland.
So they are going to kill Smaug because Bilbo just kind of goes in and taunts the dragon, steals a cup, and then he's like, "I got the cup," and they're like, "Ooh," and I was very confused.
Yeah,
and then the dragon...
It doesn't make a lot of... They yada over a lot of stuff in this movie.
Yeah. Again, just going by what I see in this, not... You know who sucks also? All the fucking dwarves.
No, they all suck.
They don't do a thing.
Mm-mm.
So they take Bilbo on this journey, and then they see a bunch of trolls, and they're like, we should rob them.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite details about this movie is they leave Bilbo's house. They're like, we're going on a mission. This is like centuries in the making. We're going to march back to the Lonely Mountain. We're going to kick this dragon in his scaly balls. We're going to take back our home. We're going to get all this sweet money. And then we're just going to be dripping. Like we're going to be swimming in it.
Yeah.
And within an hour, all of them are captured by trolls.
Right.
Like the first obstacle they encounter on their journey.
It's not an obstacle. They create the obstacle.
Right. They could have gone around them.
They could have. They see the trolls, and one of them is like, Bilbo, go rob from those trolls.
Go steal some of their food. It's like, there's 13 of you. I got 13 warriors here. You guys can't hunt?
Yeah, exactly. Like, did you not bring any food on your journey? And so Bilbo goes in, he gets caught.
They make it a point that they didn't let Bilbo bring anything. And it was like, Bilbo would have been like, I've got so much food in my house. I could have brought that. Let's
plan ahead. Let's make some calls and shit and figure this out.
Like the way that hobbits live, that like Bilbo minimum had 50 years of food in his house.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, that motherfucker stocks up.
Just in case.
Well, hobbits are basically doom preppers. They're basically retired doom preppers.
Yeah.
They live underground.
They're all living off the grid.
Yeah.
None of them wear shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a village full of Thomas Janes.
Although this doesn't show any other hobbits. He's just sort of there on his own.
Yeah. Listen, more hobbits weren't in the budget.
Yeah, I guess not. They couldn't draw more hobbits. Bilbo's horrifying looking, by the way.
They all sort of are.
He has weird veiny man hands and like a child's face. He looks like a Cabbage Patch doll.
He's got the hair of like...
He's got beautiful locks of hair.
Yeah, he's got like the hair of like...
He's got grandma hair.
Yeah, like a second grade school teacher. Like, it's like he has the haircut of your favorite babysitter.
He's ghastly. He is. Holy shit.
He's a real fucking Frankenstein.
He really is. And then again, in shots with his hands, they're like these veiny long man hands.
Ropey ass veins in his hands.
They're like weird grandpa hands. And his hands are like, they're like Gandalf's hands. They're aged like 70 years older than him.
Yeah. It's like because hobbits age weirdly, right? So he's probably
I guess hand first.
I was about to say he's like 50 or 60, but his hands age like a human. So he just has these fucking...
They're so fucking creepy.
These withered claws.
Yeah.
What if his hands, like no other part of his body, but what if his hands were just like covered in liver spots?
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Just, like, gnarled. Oh man! And there's also one of the dwarves looks like a fucking nightmare. I think it's Balin.
Yeah. They're all terrible.
But there's one in particular that just God damn it!
Thank God, 5 of them fucking die off screen. That was a revelation. That was a hell of an ending.
Yeah.
So like, by the way, those buddies, they're dead. Well, he's like, oh,
they start by telling us that Bomber, who is the fat comic relief. By comic relief, I mean like it's just the others just constantly rip on him for being fat, even though everyone here is a dwarf. I don't know what anybody's. Anyway,
right? Jesus Christ.
They start out by telling us that the delightful comic relief Bomber has been slain on the battlefield.
Oh God! Perfect. All right, but that's the ending. We're at the trolls.
Thorin's in bed, like, fucking bandaged up like Dark Man. fucking incredible.
Dies slowly in
Just
bed.
dies like a real piece of shit. Like he realizes the value of socialism and the folly of capitalism, and then dies.
Yep.
Oh, I should have
It's a
placed
great
less
story.
importance on material possessions.
Yeah, and then fucking Bilbo goes home and he's
Yeah,
like,
they just
I didn't
go-
really need any gold, but I
I'm
guess I
gonna
got some
take it."
gold. I got this fucking ring.
I like how casual he is. He's like, oh, I suppose I'll keep it as a souvenir. I'm like, your magic fucking ring?
Yeah.
And just be like, I guess it's cool. All
kinda
right. It's like the only thing you have that can do magic,
It's
but sure.
The most interesting thing in his possession at this point. So they rob the trolls. The trolls catch them.
I was about to say,
instantly.
they do not rob the trolls. Bilbo reaches for one piece of food and is caught immediately.
Right. They're saved by Gandalf, who changes the day.
Mhm.
Like time travels the day, so the morning comes early, which must have fucked up a lot of animals.
Oh, he destroyed
honestly-
the entire ecosystem. Just skipping that 6 hours. Like a year from now, that entire forest will be barren.
Right. Yeah, there's just going to be like
Just-
insects and birds who are
just
like, I
ruined
don't
the
know what the fuck
ecosystem.
happened.
Yeah.
I'm all fucked up.
Now I know in the story and in the Peter Jackson version, like Bilbo stalls them. That's what happens.
Yeah,
like
in this version, he doesn't. He
No.
just fucks off. But he's done enough. They were like, hey, go steal from those trolls. He gets
he's
away.
like, all right, I guess I'll do
Gandalf
it.
turns him into stone and then goes, excellent. Which I thought was a really weird thing to say.
It's just like the Mortal Kombat sound after you uppercut
yeah.
somebody. Excellent.
They free the fucking dwarves, and the first thing that's said is, where's that bumbling burglar? And it's like, fuck you, man. You sent him to go rob trolls. He wasn't...
I do like at the end when they finally get to the Lonely Mountain and Bilbo's found the secret door and opens it, and oh no, wait, it's not at the it's after that. It's after all that. They've killed everyone, they've reclaimed the mountain, and then they're about to have the war, and Bilbo's like, I'm not fighting, I'm just going to surrender so I get taken prisoner immediately.
Right.
And Thorin's like, you coward. And I did appreciate that Bilbo was like, hang the fuck on.
Yeah, he was like, I've saved your lives like 5 times.
I am the only one in this group that actually nutted up.
Yeah, this slog of a fucking tale
Yeah.
is this. It's Bilbo
Is
getting
me
sent into danger.
bailing you assholes out
Yep.
over and over again.
And again, I can't stress this enough. He doesn't want to go on it.
No.
He is miserable throughout.
And he has no background in adventuring, in fighting. He's just a dude who
Yeah.
lives in a house. That's all he
they're
does.
just like, come on, dweeb, we're going to steal from a dragon.
Get in the car, nerd. We're gonna go rob a dragon.
So he's been almost killed by this fucking troll.
Yeah.
They call him names, even though he's the only one who's done anything. And again, the dwarves haven't done shit. And then the narrator sings that the greatest adventure is what lies ahead. To which I paused the movie and noticed that it was only 17 minutes had passed. And I was
Now-
like, good God.
This is something I did want to point out, but we're gonna talk
right.
about it, I guess, once we finally get through the plot. But like, they leave their house for the journey at like minute 3, I think, is when they set out,
Yeah.
or somewhere around there. But basically, like the troll sequence, it takes about 90 minutes to get to the troll sequence in the Peter Jackson version.
Yes. In this version,
They
it's
don't-
17 minutes.
They don't leave Bilbo's house until it's something like 42 or 43 minutes into the movie in the Peter Jackson version that they finally leave Bilbo's house.
Yep. I legitimately thought I was about 35 minutes in.
Nope.
And it was 17 fucking minutes. There was a point where I was pausing every 5 minutes, and I swear to God, an hour passed every 5 minutes.
This movie itself, much like The One Ring, is a cursed object.
Yeah. So they get their swords.
Sure.
One is called the Goblin Cleaver, which, when you think about it, is a fucked up thing to name a sword. Like any sword that's like, this slaughters a race.
Yeah, it's pretty racist.
Yeah, it's a racist sword. And it gets them in trouble later for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because they run into goblins and they're like,
Right, yeah,
hey, is that the Goblin
He pulls
Cleaver?
out it's like, yeah.
Is that the racist sword?
Yeah. Goblin King is like, what?
Bilbo meets Gollum, doesn't seem phased by it.
No, that scene is so fucking funny. It's like a gentleman's agreement. Like
What?
he's never worried about it, and he's just like, well, if you lose the contest, then I'm going to eat you. And Bilbo's like, okay, well, let's have some fun.
Yeah,
And he's
that
like,
was
now
the
hang on, step away,
He's like,
step
answer
away.
my riddles. I'll let you out. If not, I'll eat you. Yeah, and Bilbo's just like, sounds good, sounds fair.
Mm-hmm.
They do like 3 riddles. I read in the trivia that there was many more in the books. That doesn't make me feel like the book's good. I'm sure. I mean, everybody likes the book, but that's
The book is the book is so far the only thing that has told this story correctly.
right.
And even then, there's stretches of the book where I'm like, I could probably skip this.
Yeah, I mean, this riddle shit. Good fucking god. Just this, weird goblin that's like, answer my riddles or I'll eat you.
Mhm.
Bilbo's down.
Listen, man,
They have a riddle war.
bored. He's been
What?
in that. Listen, man, he is bored. He's been in that cave for a long time.
You know what else is bored? The cameraman, because it keeps drifting off into other parts of the cave during this sequence. Did you notice that?
That's I noticed it every time they do it in this film. It's because they didn't have enough animation.
Yeah, okay. In this part, it just feels like the cameraman's like, I gotta go.
It was so weird. Like I'm not and never have been a producer, but I was like watching this movie and that's all I could think about. Like all I could see were like all the corners they were cutting because they didn't have the money.
Yeah, and there's like they sing the dark riddle for no reason.
That didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
And that part's actually cool in the oh no, wait, it's the time one. The time riddle in the Peter Jackson version is actually cool. Well, this sequence is cool in the Peter Jackson version.
right. But this whole thing
they
is
actually,
it's just
yeah, I was gonna say in the Peter Jackson version, they actually treat Gollum like a threat.
right. In this, he talks to him like he's like an old man.
Right, like he's
He's like, oh, hello there. How are you?
Yeah,
like he's
and he
not at all threatened by
right.
Gollum.
He behaves like he's humoring him,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this fucking cave dwelling demon is about to rip your head off. Like,
Right. And then like in the tradition that everything has been in this, he robs Gollum
mhm.
and he steals his ring and goes ta-ta and leaves.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, fuck you, man. Why does
leaps
everybody
over
suck?
him, dragging his balls over the top of his head. One final insult. Also, he really fucks up in this scene, and this is consistent, I think, throughout every adaptation because it's a big part of the story. He tells Gollum his real name, and that like ruins everything.
Yeah.
for Middle
You're
Earth.
right.
If
He
he had
does
given
everything.
If he had given Gollum a fake name, the ring race would never have come to Hobbiton.
Yep. That is
all
kind of
you
amazing.
had to do is tell this dude your name is Chester. That's all you had to do, man.
Yeah, if you're gonna rob somebody,
Don't tell him your
them
real
your
name.
yeah,
Tell him
What an
literally
asshole.
anything else.
yeah. Maybe don't tell them anything.
Yeah. Certainly don't do a game of riddles with them.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's real stupid. When he meets back up with Gandalf, who is like, wink, wink, I know you stole this ring.
Yeah.
Where he's like, your story rings true, which I don't understand what Gandalf's game is at all at this point. He's like, hey, did you rob that fucker? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I think like he kind of says it in the movie where it's like he's got some, when he's talking about Gollum, he says he has some part to play here yet, but I can't really see what it is. Like, I think he knows
Right.
the ring is supposed to go to Bilbo, but he just doesn't know exactly what it's
He doesn't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get chased off a tree. They take the eagles. I was shocked that the eagle talks back.
My God. And the voice, the eagle was like, yeah, like I said aloud, I was like, that is not your voice. Like the eagle's like, thank you, Gandalf. We shall return to the clouds, back to our eagle kingdom. I'm like, that is not what an eagle sounds like.
Yeah, no, I don't know what an eagle sounds like, but I know
it
it's
should
not
be
that.
like, oh yeah, you know? We can fly. We're eagles. I'd expect them to sound more like scumbags.
Yeah, I guess eagles are kind of scumbags, aren't they?
Yeah, all birds.
Yeah, pretty much. He tells Bilbo to write a book at some point. I forget
He
when.
tells him to keep a journal, so he keeps one in Mirkwood when they get
And he's
grabbed
like, great,
by the Santa Bunny spiders.
Oh, Christ. Well, that's all right. First, what happens? So he's like, keep a journal. And he's like, that's great. I can use this when I tell the authorities what happened to me.
I can use this to document my captivity.
They go into the forest and they're like, I wonder what it'd be like to climb the tallest tree. Bilbo, climb the tree. Like they order him to climb the tree. And so they make him climb up to the top. Mm-hmm. He climbs up. It's beautiful. This is my favorite part of the movie because he's like, the music, the line I wrote was, let go of the moment that life makes you hold, which I'm not sure what that means. And he's like, this is the most beautiful thing ever. And then hard cut, kidnapped by spiders.
Yep.
It's amazing. We
don't even see how it happens.
We don't even see. He just wakes up and he's wrapped in a spider web and goes, I woke up the next morning to a hideous surprise.
Yeah.
Like, this adventure sucks.
Yeah, and they yada yada over, like, all of the things that you would want to see.
Yeah. So it's just one shitty moment for Bilbo after the next. He gets this one moment where he's like, ooh, pretty. And it's like, kidnapped by spider.
What was doubly funny about that scene was supposed to be about him just like I think that lyric is supposed to be about being present. Because it's like, he's like, he's just like taken in by the beauty. And all he can see is like a bunch of coal black butterflies.
Yeah.
And which is like
trees. It's like Blair Witch. Like there's just trees everywhere.
Like the trees in the sunrise look nice, but like the butterflies just look like flies.
Mm-hmm.
So they do. It would just be like a swarm of flies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awful. He's having an awful time, and he's trying to make the best of it.
It's a real piece of shit from beginning to end for Bilbo.
It sucks.
God damn it.
So he saves their asses from the spider. They don't thank him.
No.
It's one more thing he saves them as. By the way, he saves them. It's very confusing. He turns invisible.
Mm-hmm.
No, he takes out his sword. He turns invisible, and then he just throws a rock. Which you don't need to be invisible or holding a sword for either of those things.
I suspect he might actually kill them in like the story.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because like they do this weird effect a couple of times in the movie. It happens when Gandalf kills the Goblin King too, where he comes in and swings the sword, and it freeze frames on on the character's face, and then they go spinning off into oblivion. I was like, did he just banish him to another dimension? What happened? Right. And they do kind of the similar thing with the spiders, and I think it happens again during the Battle of the Five Armies at the end.
Yeah,
so I think it's
they get the yada yada.
Yeah, I think they just can't show people getting stabbed.
Mm-hmm. But as far as the movie, as I can tell, he takes out his sword, he turns invisible, then hucks a rock at the spider and knocks it out.
And the other two run away, I think.
Yep. Yeah, and then he just saves them, and it was like, okay.
All right, that was easy.
Yeah, they get in barrels. Oh, they get captured by those motherfuckers.
Yeah, they get thrown in jail by Thranduil, who is fucking Legolas's shithead dad.
Right.
And the elves look. I mean, you were talking about how hideous Bilbo is. The
elves are horrifying.
Yeah, the elves. The elves look like a haunted Bulgarian fairy tale. Like,
yeah,
they look like something that you they look like a creature that you tell your kids about to make them eat their vegetables. Like it's a thing that steals people through windows in the middle of the night is what I'm saying.
Yes,
and that's this movie's version of elves.
It's weird because Elrond shows up and he looks like an elf.
Yeah, he's got a beard, which is like.
And then the other elves look like fucking mutated Smurfs or something. Like there's something really fucking wrong with them.
They look like the creatures from The Descent.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like gray. They're like aliens.
Yes.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
So they capture them, they barrel off and just like barrel into the city, to which the city just scoops them up right in front of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, wow, all right. That was easy.
Don't you remember the whimsical barrel sequence from the Peter Jackson films?
I sure do. But even that one, they like go from barrel to like a barge or something. Like this one, it's just barrels and they knock into the docks and someone lifts them up like, ooh, barrels.
There's a lot of like, I mean, most of Bilbo's journey in the mountain, I think, is narrated.
Yeah.
It's like there's a couple of portions where it's like, well, we don't have the money to animate this, so we're just going to have Bilbo tell us what happens.
Yeah.
And then just
It's
cut to the
real
next
A to
major
B.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get to the cave and they're like, all right, Bilbo, you freeloaded enough. Go steal from that dragon.
After he has located and opened the secret door at this point.
Yep.
He has done
saved their lives
literally
multiple times.
everything. He has saved their lives 3 times.
Yeah, the barrel thing, he saves their lives. He gets them out. The
spiders. I guess the Goblin Cave. Well, Gandalf gets them out of the Goblin Cave.
Yeah.
And it's also
they've
okay.
done nothing though.
I'm thinking of the trolls. They cut it out in this movie, but Bilbo saves them from the trolls also in the story.
Right. But in this, like, I can't stress enough, these dwarves do nothing.
They don't do anything.
They just yell at Bilbo.
Yeah.
And make him do things. Make him climb trees and fucking go in holes and steal from things. They're just assholes.
He's like the one good player on the Little League team that everybody still bullies.
Yeah. So we meet the fucking dragon, Smaug.
I could talk for 17 hours about the actor they chose to voice Smaug.
They chose the most bored-sounding motherfucker.
The actor is Richard Boone, who is a big-time Western star. So Smaug sounds like a cowboy.
He does. He sounds like a sarcastic cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
He has like a cat face.
I didn't mind that so much. Like as ghastly as a lot of this stuff looks, like seeing this design of Smaug made me think of like
Smaug wasn't terrible.
Yeah, it made
not terrible.
It made me think of like the Guillermo del Toro concept design sketches for Smaug, where he was just going real outside the box with it. It was like, well, I would prefer they tried something that's weird as opposed to just like the Smaug in Peter Jackson's movie doesn't look bad. It just looks exactly.
It just looks like a dragon.
Yeah, it looks exactly like what you would picture a dragon to look like.
This probably occurred to me before, but that sequence is fucking. It's Sherlock Holmes and Watson.
It is.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, but then he just taunts him again. He's just like, I'm invisible. And that's the sequence, is like Smaug being like kind of not that impressed. And then he's like, hey, Smaug, can I see your belly? And he's like, sure. Shows him his belly. And he's like, you got a missing scale on your tummy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he reveals himself like an asshole.
Yeah, he really shouldn't have done that.
No, and then he's just I stole a cup. And runs out.
Yeah, he should have just taken something and left.
Yeah.
He'd have never known. He's got a million things in there.
Yeah. And yeah, Smaug is quite a trip. This sequence lasts, 40 minutes between him and Smaug.
Yeah, it's like a couple of minutes, yeah.
Yeah. Smaug leaves because he's pissed.
Yeah, because he knows he got robbed.
Right. And this I thought was incredible. Because he leaves, they do the sequence on the city where the human learns about Smaug's weakness from a bird.
Mm-hmm.
So a bird saw Smaug's belly, and then they somehow credit it to Bilbo, where he's like, Bilbo found something out. And it's like, no, the bird found something out. And then told you. The bird's the hero. The bird saves the city.
Well,
it's
Bilbo tells the bird to go tell Bard.
Does he?
Yes.
Oh, okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Bilbo. This fucking bird. They kill the dragons. The dwarves continue to do absolutely nothing. This was the part that was amazing. Is then it cuts to them like in Smaug's treasure room, and they say something like, "What if Smaug returns?" So they didn't check. They don't know Smaug died.
They never left. Yeah, they have no idea he's dead.
That's incredible, because it means that Smaug, they pissed off Smaug. He ran out and like bombed into the night, and they're like, well, that settles that, and then went in and just started hanging out with the treasure.
Yep.
Not knowing that Smaug was dead or alive, and just like, gee, I wonder if the dragon will come back. It's like, of course it'll come back. Like, of course it'll come back. It's the dragon, and it's gold. Like, they're so lucky someone killed it. They're so terrible. The dwarves suck so much.
Yeah, they really do.
They just move in. And lucky for them, the dragon gets slaughtered because of something Bilbo tells a bird.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Yep.
And then the yada yada, the Battle of the Five Armies.
They sure do. They do the literal dust cloud, like the Andy Cap fighting with his wife, dust cloud.
Yeah.
To show that the war is happening. It's like, all right. Don't think we maybe would have wanted to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
We got to get all these important conversations in this fantasy movie.
And then Gandalf is like, so like 5 of them died, and Bilbo's like, that's great. I don't care. I never liked them.
Yeah.
They dragged me.
Yeah, I knew them for 3 weeks. They all just shit on me constantly, and I had to continuously rescue them like they were literal babies.
Yeah, I don't even know which ones you're talking about.
I'm going home. Gandalf, forget where I live.
Yeah. Seriously, it should have ended with him just telling off Gandalf.
Yeah.
They're walking back and he starts talking about fate, and it's like, Jesus, who gives a shit? Or prophecies.
Yeah,
like, if you do not believe in the prophecy and that you're a part of it, and he should be like, Gandalf, go away. Like, I'm gonna call a lawyer.
You are exhausting.
Yeah, I had a terrible time. You dragged me out of my house.
You want to know what part you play in this great saga?
Yeah, it's like, fuck you.
No, I don't.
Drag me out of my house.
I want to drink out of my mugs that are human size, so they're the size of my face.
Yeah, I had stuff I was supposed to do.
Right, like I had so many errands.
People are wondering where I am.
Yeah.
People probably think I died. You kidnapped me. I couldn't do anything about it because you will literally just murder me with a bolt of lightning.
My house has probably been cleaned out.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that what actually happens?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I remember in the movie or something they assume he's fucking dead.
I think like the Sackville Bagginses are there like doing an inventory of his shit.
Yeah.
Because they really want Bag End, and he's like, get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah. Oh my fucking God. What a terrible adventure. And again, it's all like Gandalf and the narrator and everything like, we're on an adventure. But at no point does Bilbo seem into it or impressed by anything. He's just inconvenienced.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's not a great guy either. Not even
majorly. Like, he politely gripes.
Yeah. And it's just like, they're just getting in other people's fucking business.
Yeah.
It reminds me actually of the animated Tintin movie, where like Tintin kind of seems insufferable in that because Tintin keeps being like, there's a mystery here.
Yeah.
And he's just like trespassing and getting in other people's stuff. Like, why is this person not telling me what's going on? It's like, because you're a stranger, Tintin.
Yeah. What's the secret of this mystery? Because it's none of your goddamn business.
Right.
Yes, it's sweater vest wearing freak show.
Yeah, it's the same shit here, where Bilbo's fucking going in people's caves, stealing their rings. It's bullshit. Fucking stay home. If they stayed home, none of this shit would have happened, right? Like, let the dragon have its gold.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he would have continued to sit in the mountain, probably.
Yeah, the ring would have stayed with Gollum. Nobody would have fucking gotten it. Nobody would have known about it, right?
I mean, I think no. The ring. You mean?
Yeah, Gollum in Lord of the Rings. Doesn't Gollum get caught by the orcs and gets tortured, and then he says,
"Yep," and he says,
"Shire Baggins."
Shire Baggins.
Well,
yeah.
You know what would get him not caught? If he had a fucking invisible ring.
Mm-hmm. And also, had Bilbo not told him his name.
Yeah. This is terrible.
Yeah. It's a real shit show.
It's
start to finish.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, so I don't know. That's my thoughts on this movie. It's ridiculous. I'm sure the books must be amazing, right? You've read them, I'm sure.
I've read The Hobbit. I cannot get through Lord of the Rings.
Really?
I've tried several times.
I've never tried. I should probably try.
I mean, he was Tolkien was a professor,
right?
And I think like languages were like specifically his deal, like maybe languages and history. I don't know exactly. I'm sure there's plenty of fans screaming at me right now, but it's written like a textbook.
Yeah, it's real nerdy shit.
and he like the shit he likes is language and history. So he goes all fucking balls deep into those sections of the story, and it's just like after a couple of pages, I'm like, what the fuck are we're in the weeds right now, man. Can we get back to the story?
Right. Which is, that's a typical thing. It's just sometimes it doesn't work. Like, I think like Michael Crichton is kind of similar, right? He'll go off on little tangents.
Yes, but Michael Crichton's popcorn fiction.
Right.
It's a lot more difficult when it's like literary fiction. He's a fucking professor writing this shit at you.
Exhausting.
It's like I also he's talking about stuff that doesn't exist. Whereas like Crichton will be starting with like, well, here's a concept you understand, right? Okay, let's spin off from that. Like Tolkien's talking about shit that has never existed. So it's like I have no context for this outside of what you're providing me.
Right.
So
you're just describing crazy shit to me.
That you just
made up.
They're not super long books, but God, are they dense reads.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they seem good. I like the movies that came out of them. At least 3 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about. This animated version, I mean, obviously, it's tempting to declare it the best version simply because it's 80 minutes long.
Right.
But this movie has the exact same problem of the Peter Jackson movies. It's shorter.
Right. And I would say therefore better, because they're both bad. This one didn't waste so much of my time.
Well, here's the flip side. With the Peter what it's doing, that's the same thing as the Peter Jackson movies, is it's stretching out all of the boring filler shit to critical mass. Just to squeeze that runtime in. For Peter Jackson, because they wanted 3 movies for maximum money. This because they had to stretch every dollar just to fill out a feature length time slot. I think what you get. Why even though I still haven't been able to get through all of the Peter Jackson movies, because every time I sit down, like I'm gonna finally watch the Hobbit trilogy. Once you get to the end of that first 3-hour turd, man, you just can't.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. It's like I have no desire, and I keep hearing that the other 2 films are much better, but it's just like I'm so depleted by this first one.
Yeah. Also, I would say they're not much better.
Well, my point is that Peter Jackson, at the very least, he stretches out all the boring shit, but you also still get to see the stuff that the cartoon yada yada's over. So you get both of the things.
Right.
You still get all the cool fantasy stuff you wanted to see. You just have to deal with about 4.5 hours of bullshit to see it.
So, like, for me, it's like, would you rather have a rash for 80 minutes or a rash for 400 minutes? And it's like, oh, I'd rather take the 80-minute rash. Like, would you rather just feel uncomfortable and want something to end? Like, it's I don't know. I'm sure there's a good version of The Hobbit out there.
Hasn't been made yet.
It hasn't been made yet. I think there was a version that was the Guillermo del Toro, who I'm indifferent. Like, I'm lukewarm on Guillermo del Toro, but this was like a good time for Guillermo del Toro to do The Hobbit. It was going to be 2 films, right?
I think initially it was going to be 1, and then it became 2, and then it became 3.
I could see this being 2 good films.
Mm-hmm. You could get 2 movies out of this, I think.
Yeah, not long films. And that would have been amazing. And I think there's a version of it that could have existed. Yeah, we just haven't gotten it. This one feels rushed. But when what's funny about this one is if you take the whole story and boil it down to 80 minutes, the story really feels dumb. It's like, just like, this is like, if this was your introduction into this universe, you'd be like, this is a terrible universe.
Right. It's a series of completely unrelated events.
Yeah. And that happened really quickly. And the main characters are all kind of unpleasant. And nobody, like, you don't feel like you really know any of the characters. No one makes sense. Nothing they do makes sense. It's a terrible version. It is the worst version of The Hobbit.
Yes.
Technically, because it makes The Hobbit seem like exhausting or like nonsense.
You also don't get anything out of it. Like,
it's gibberish. I'm just saying that I'd still rather watch it than the 3 gigantic films.
That's fair. What I'm saying is, at least when I watch the Peter Jackson version, I can come away with, well, the Gollum scene was cool. And like, well,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
These parts were cool. Like with this animated Hobbit, not a single moment of this film is cool.
Yeah.
It's
technically
exhausting and boring and somehow longer than the Peter Jackson version.
Yeah, my God, it felt like it took hours.
Oh my God, this movie.
Yeah. Oof. Fucking the 70s, man. This is unacceptable. This movie's unacceptable.
Being like 7 or like 10 or 12, gathering your family around the TV to watch The Hobbit because you're so excited.
And then it's this.
Your little nerd heart is just full to burst with excitement. And then this fucking shit just lurches across the screen for 2 hours.
Ugh.
And then you have to explain to your family that, well, the book's actually a lot better. I don't know what this is. And then this had to be your version for the next 30 years.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's why people, I think, like it, because it's just like, it's all we had.
Yeah, and the music.
Yeah, music's pretty good.
I mean,
I
the
guess.
music's, if you like vibrato folk music, which I don't.
Yeah. But it's like, well
like,
executed.
It's like listening to Donovan sing about
it's
Lord
all
of the
just
Rings.
Songs that he wrote in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, look, it's a classic book. I'm probably wrong, but everything I read about in the trivia and like watching this, the book sounds insufferable. Because like if I was reading a book and then it stopped to give me lyrics to a song that didn't like have a melody I could hear, I'd be like, this is exhausting. Like that sounds terrible. That sounds like a terrible thing to do in a book.
This is awful. How dare you?
Yeah. Like, here's some lyrics I made up. It's like, great, thanks, man. Maybe get a guitar or something so I can actually, like, hear this. Maybe don't put, like, lyrics to made-up songs in your book. I don't know. That sounds fucking weird.
Yeah. Fucking Game of Thrones does that, too.
Does it?
Where there's, like, lyrics to songs written out, and it's like, I don't fucking know how this sounds. Like Reigns of Castamere that made it to the show.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution there is as a writer, because, like, if it's important to have a song, but in this it just feels like people sing songs.
Yeah, I mean there's a way to do, obviously you just find a specific meter that's like familiar to people and just write like a quick little poem and like, hey, this is the song they were singing, and then people can like sort of hear it just if you have the rhythm. But yeah, I don't know. This is also a book for kids. Is another thing.
This movie doesn't feel like it's for kids.
No, it really doesn't.
It doesn't feel like it's for much of anybody. But I'm sure kids, you could sit a kid in front of it, and kids are dumb, so they'd be into it.
Yeah, probably. It's animated. They'll watch fucking anything if it's a cartoon.
Yeah, pretty much. Even horrifying Bilbo.
Yeah. Cabbage
Patch Grandma Hands. Bilbo Baggins.
What is happening?
Oh,
Bilbo. What have you seen?
Oh, God. All right. Should we wrap this up?
Those terrible tree root hands. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Thank you, Andrew Maguire.
Yes.
For giving us this. I mean, it was short, and that is something to be said about this. Like, if someone was like, tried to get us to watch the Hobbit films, I might push back on that.
Yeah.
That's a lot. This is 90 minutes. Get in, get out. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew Maguire. Andrew did this through our Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, you can see exclusive podcasts on there like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. We watch movies with our patrons every Friday night. Maybe we'll watch one of the Hobbits.
Yeah, maybe.
The last one. Only the last one. I've been pushing this.
Who knows? We also have a store at tpublic.com/stores/gamefullyunemployed. We can get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. So check that out.
Check it out.
Check it out.
What do you have to lose?
I don't know, 78 minutes?
It's not that much.
It seems 4 times as long.
It really does. If someone is like, you can watch one movie and then I'm going to murder you, you put this on because you'll really stretch out that time. Mm-hmm. Not in like a good way.
No, not in any way that feels like good.
We should be harnessing this movie for like the purposes of like interstellar travel or something. Like, this fucks with time and space in a way that needs to be understood. This should be the subject. This movie should be the subject of a Christopher Nolan film.
I believe the secret of interstellar travel lies within this film.
Fuck.